Welcome to Beyond the Veil. We've been talking a little bit, sorry about that. We've been talking about desire. We've been talking about the Garden of Eden and what happened there and what that led to. And today, as you see, I'm wearing a tie. Normally, I don't wear a tie. Some of you may know this. Some of you may have gleaned from the background that I'm a lawyer. I don't practice much anymore, but this morning I did have some video hearings I went to, so I at least had to dress up like a lawyer the from the waist up. I have jeans on, so and I'm trying to get out of the law. But anyways, that's what we're going to talk about today is how the law plays into this. Because see what happened in the garden. Before I start again, I'm going to put Donald up on the board, and those of you who have watched the prior videos know that this is a picture of Donald with what we call the good Donald on one side. He's wearing a halo, and on the other side we have the bad Donald who wears horns. And this is very important because, as we've discussed briefly, is we all hear things, we all see things, and we are all called to make judgments upon what's good and what's bad. And we have these voices kind of telling us, and society tells us, religion tells us, just about everybody has opinion on what's good and what's bad. We hear those voices and we make decisions based upon that. And what is clear in the garden that we've talked about is that desire was exposed. We talked briefly about that in other videos, about the man Adam's desire for Eve. So God creates Eve. Then Eve's desire to be more than what she was created out of the rib of Adam to be a helpmate to Adam. Her desire, and how that desire led to her being deceived by the serpent, and she took the fruit to lift her up, as we showed the word shows the knowledge, to lift her up, to be like God, knowing good and evil. Now, here's the problem with that. Can we ever be God? There's people that teach that we'll be gods. There's people that don't teach that. So what's really going on there? She wanted to be a god and be lifted up. Well, as we've talked also on the videos, God's approach is actually to come down to us, to set aside his divinity, to be a man, Jesus, so that he could be with us. And we see that as an example in what Adam did. When he saw that Eve ate the fruit and that she would die, he decided to eat the fruit too, because his desire was to be with Eve. Just as Jesus came, set aside his divinity to come and be a man so that he could be with us. It's a very important thing. So let's go to how this all plays out, desire and all of this. And up on the board here, I've got mankind, and that's in the middle. And we're going to get into how the veils play here. And we see man and woman here, mankind. This could be you, this could be me, this could be whoever. All of mankind is in this place with desires. And all of mankind is separated by a veil from the spiritual realm where God, angels, Satan, fallen angels, demons, all are. And we're also separated from the physical world in the sense that we can't know perfectly in this world. And I use the example of Newtonian physics that gave way to relativity, theory of relativity, which gave way to quantum mechanics. which is giving way to looking for a theory that explains everything. Because despite man's best attempts at science, we come up with approximates, we come up with theories. Then we look and try to prove our theories by what we see. But we don't see everything in nature. We don't see in the atom. We don't see what's behind the atom, the particles. We don't see that. We see, as Paul said, on both sides, we see in a mirror dimly. We don't have perfect knowledge of this realm or of this realm because of these veils that limit our experience. So when we talk about beyond the veil, what we're talking about is living in a place where we're beyond the veils. We operate beyond the veils. That's what this is about. So let's talk a little bit. I put up over on this side the law of the spirit of the law of the spirit of life. That should be. But this should be life up there. I put down the spirit of law. It's the law of the spirit of life. Over here we have the law of the spirit of death. Now what we see in the physical world, we clearly see death. It's all around us. Friends we have, people we know die. Things tend to go from order to chaos. Things disintegrate. They wear out. In science, they call that entropy, that we go from a state of organized and order to a state of disorder. So we see the law of the spirit of death here. Over here, in the law of the spirit of life, we get a glimpse of it, but we don't really walk in it. Because, see, God is life. Jesus is life. When Adam was in the garden, he had life. He had a unity or a connection to God. But when they ate from the tree and their eyes were open and they became gods in the sense that they saw good and evil, and they now were responsible for making choices based upon their partial awareness of good and evil, they were in a place where they had to decide what's good, what's evil. And they had to use that knowledge to negotiate this side of the veil and this side of the veil. And that gets us down to what we might call the moral law. What is God's moral law? Well, one of the things that Jesus said when he looked at the law, the 10 Commandments and the laws of the Pharisees and all the Leviticus, he said, I came to fulfill that law. I'm the completion of that law. That really angered the Pharisees because they were making their living based upon the law. They thought they were justified by their ability to keep the law. And that spirit of pride, that spirit tends to permeate into creation even yet today. When I talked last time, I talked about how we all are convicted by the law. There's always something that the law will come in, and we'll use the 10 Commandments as an example. Okay, so you may be looking at the 10 Commandments, and you may be able to keep the law against stealing. You never stole anything in your life. You may be able to easily keep the law of not taking the Lord God's name in vain. And we could talk a little bit more about that because that's a little bit different than just basically saying foul words about God. But anyways, you may be able to do that. You may be able to even not commit adultery if you're married, or fornication, or any of these things. But there's always going to be, if you're open to self-awareness and examination, there's always going to be something in that law that you're going to have a hard time with. And what religion tells us is you just got to try harder. You got to double your will, as I put it. You got to really set down. Well, what the law is meant to do is to expose sin. It's not to be in and of itself something by which we live or have access to God. Because that would mean we'd have to keep the law completely. And actually, Jesus reduces the law to this principle: love the Lord your God with all your heart and your neighbor as yourself. See, his law is this moral law, or what we might call moral law, is based upon what? Love. Being in a selfless relationship with somebody else in which you pour into them. Well, man can't do that. God does it. And God can do it through men, but men can't on their own act selfless without awareness of self. You're always going to be in this flesh aware of self. Now, we go over here to this side. Okay. Now, we know that there are physical laws that operate. Walk too close on the edge of a roof, and the law of gravity pulls you to the ground. You can't violate the law of gravity. Its consequences are immediate when you violate the law. Moral law, you cannot love people. You can continue to be hateful, spiteful, or whatever. And you may experience some consequences in the sense that, people don't want to be around you. People say bad things about you, whatever. And that may not affect you. But at some point, the violation of the moral law of the spirit of life, where you are called to be in unity with God first, and that through that unity, we have the unity of the body of Christ in society. At some point, when you violate that law, you're going to have an accounting. You're going to suffer the consequences of violating that law. You might get away over here. I represented many people that violated what I'm going to talk about next, the natural law, which is a combination of the both. Because see, let's just look at it this way. Okay, the moral law, or the law of the spirit of life, would mean what? When you meet another person, you should love that person. Does that mean you would kill them? No. That's why the law comes in, the law of Moses, to expose this, comes in and says, thou shalt not kill. So when you kill somebody, where do you kill them? Do you kill them here? Or do you kill them over here in the physical world? You kill them over here. So you violate this law, but because man has taken some of the moral law and applied it to what I'll call the natural law, we go over here and we say, oh, there's a law against killing. You killed somebody. You broke this physical law because you broke this natural law that we've made part of this world over here, and now you suffer consequences. Well, I represent people who would come in. I never represent anybody that killed anybody, but I represented a lot of people that did other things against the mix of this moral and this physical law that was part of the codified law in Indiana, where I'm at. And what happened then is they would come in and they'd say, oh yeah, I did drink and drive, but it's no big deal. Okay, I want to hire you, or I want you to represent me so that I can avoid the consequences over here. Because see, the consequences over here happen a lot quicker than what happened here. And on the morals side, or on the law of the spirit of life where God dwells, God's law, the consequences aren't near as quick here as they are here, because these come at the end of our age or when we die. These somebody has to enforce here, and if it's not nature, it's got to be the police or the legal system, and that takes time, and so the consequences might be not so fast like in the legal system, but it might be very quick if we talk about the physical law of gravity. So, I'm representing people, and now they've done something physically, like drinking while they drove, that brought them into this judgment onto this system. And they would say, well, can you get rid of the consequences over here? Can you do something to eliminate the consequences over here? And I would look at them and I'm like, okay, so let's say you did this. Could you have put other people at danger? Yeah. Could you put yourself at danger? Who was in the car with you? Well, my wife was. So you could have led to something where your wife could have died. Well, yeah. But I don't want the consequences of my actions over here. That's why I want you to get me off. And you could talk to them a little bit longer and you'd find out that this wasn't the first time they did this. This might have been one of, literally hundreds of times they did this. It was just that they got caught here. And they had no awareness, really. I could talk to them about the awareness of how they could have hurt others. And they would acknowledge it, but they really didn't claim it. It didn't get down inside of them and they didn't say, my goodness, my eyes are opened. I could have killed somebody. So I would do what my job was over here. And maybe I'd get them a light sentence, or maybe because of some technicality in the law, they didn't suffer any consequences. And they would think, and if I did that, they would think I was a great attorney. This is one of the reasons why I don't want to be an attorney. Because don't you see, what happens here is to make us aware of what's happening here. Because see, man is here, and as we talked earlier, he's the conduit. What happens here is interaction between him and the physical. But there's things that can cross these barriers. For example, God, through Jesus, crossed this barrier. Jesus became a man who walked in the physical to reveal God over here, which is behind this veil. He permeated, crossed this barrier. Also, we know that fallen angels, demons, specifically, if we go to Genesis, it talks about the angels who crossed this, left their estate, took on physical form, mated with women, took them as wives, and created what the scripture calls the Nephilim, or this interbreed between man and these fallen entities, these fallen angels. And we're going to start to see some stuff coming out that shows you that the flood didn't take care of all the Nephilim. It just didn't. They're still around. Demons are a different story because they're not necessarily fallen angels. They're actually, I believe, the hybrid between these entities created by man and by the fallen angels during the pre-flood. We see these things starting to also come about in artificial intelligence. See, these fallen angels are pretty smart. They know they want to cross this barrier, and they'll use all kinds of things to cross this barrier. Because once they penetrate this barrier and come into here, then they actually can start to influence us, mankind, to cross into this physical barrier and create all kinds of things. And then so we're left, if we're just operating under the law of the spirit of death or knowledge where we want to be gods, we're left with trying to discern what's good and evil. What do we let go cross that barrier? Back to Donald. What's Donald going to do? Is he going to listen to the good Donald or the bad Donald? If he listens to the bad Donald, who crosses this barrier into him, then what happens? He does something that crosses into this realm. And it may have very severe consequences for his fellow ducks, or in our case, mankind. And we are going to see that that's happening very rapidly today. Very rapidly. And that's what's going on. Now, what Jesus did, he crossed this barrier. He went, became a man. He ended up over here. And what he did is said, I'm going to show you this. And God isn't so much about the rules as he is about you being in relationship with him. Religion's about the rules. In fact, this living by the Spirit, living in Jesus, scares religious people. Well, if we just say we're dead to the law, like Paul said, oh, we're dead to this moral law? No, we're not dead to the moral law. We're living under the spirit of life. We're dead to the written law that exposes it. We're dead to that. So that means we can do all kinds of nasties? Well, Paul's, and see, this is why religious people tend to want to make it about laws to try to control themselves and others. Well, that puts you in a place where you're constantly under condemnation if you are aware of your sinfulness and inability to follow just one of the laws. And Jesus came to set us free from that. And Paul says, yes, we're dead to the law. So should grace cover everything? Should it increase? And he says, yeah, grace is going to increase. But if I'm truly awakened to this, my desires changed. And I'll seek the Spirit within me. I'll seek Jesus. I'll seek God to do what I can't do through me. That's what this is about. I meet so many Christians who feel condemned. And what do they do when you feel condemned? When somebody's called you on something, what do you want to do? You want to withdraw in, you want to withdraw, you want to meet that person. See, that's not the place. This is why God says, get into a relationship with somebody who you can confess your sins. You can confess that you've got problems so that you can bring them into the light. You'll have an awareness, and then that will lead into real change in Jesus through the Holy Spirit. That's what this is about. Do not forsake this as you see the days approaching. And that's what this is about. This is how we're going to live beyond this. This is what this is about. Okay, it's time to conclude this one. We may or may not come back to this. Probably will come back to it. I'm not sure if it'll be the same board or if it'll be part 3 or whatever. We'll let the Lord decide. But before we go, again, I'm supposed to tell you if you like this video or if you want more notice of more videos, click the subscribe button on either YouTube or Rumble, and you should get notices of the videos. Also, again, I've got it here someplace. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, if you want to contact me directly, here's my email. It's very simple, philhesch@yahoo.com. Again, philhesch@yahoo.com. With that said, I hope you continue to join us. Share this link with friends that you think might want to are in that place of frustration with religion and under condemnation, because this is about setting people free. So, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again.